Do we have free will, or is everything predetermined? Here's what I think. There's no getting around the deep intuitive sense that there are some things that happen in our lives that were meant to be. And I think every one of us has sensed this, right? Like something happens, or it's perfect timing, or it's perfect alignment. And you sit back and you say, yeah, of course, this was supposed to happen. And you know that in your gut. Then there's times where it feels like you're the one that's choosing certain things, and it's your decision and it's your choice, and it's you, like this independent entity that's choosing, that's making things happen. So I can understand that perspective as well. And I've heard people say, and I've even said this, and I think it's true to a degree, where people have said that destiny, your destiny, is the free will of your higher self, right? So it's like, well, wait, how does that work? Well, it's like the scene in The Matrix. I've talked about this before, when Neo is talking to the Oracle, and the Oracle's like, you want some candy? And Neo said, well, you're the Oracle, so you already know what I'm going to choose. And the Oracle says to Neo, you didn't come here to choose. You came here to figure out why you chose what you chose, or something like that. And so I think that's true to a degree. It's like there are certain things that we have chosen to experience, to go through in our human incarnation. And when we go through these things, there's lessons to be learned. And so that's what I think the Oracle is getting at. It's not about figuring out, why did this happen, or why do I have to go through this? No, it's, what is the curriculum? What is the curriculum teaching you? What's it showing you? What's the theme? What's the archetype? There's all these little hidden messages and symbols in everything we experience in life. So I think potentially what it is, and I've heard some other people talk about this, but this is what resonates the most for me. I'm not trying to be super dogmatic with this, so if this doesn't resonate with you, throw it out. It is what it is, but maybe it will resonate. And the way I've come to see it is, I do believe that the higher self chooses certain things to be experienced in the human incarnation, as the life is being played out. And no matter what you do, you cannot get around these things. These things will happen. However, in between these things that are predestined to happen, we could say, there is maybe free will to a degree. So like, for example, let's say, I'm talking about the big moments in our lives, like who we marry, where we move to, where we live, the job we have, the major accomplishments, things like that. I believe, for the most part, those things are already like set, and they're going to happen no matter what we do. And that's why it seems as though we're getting off track. We think that in our minds, oh, we're getting off track, and then the next thing you know, something miraculous happens, and we end up experiencing something we thought we would never experience. Why? Because you were meant to experience that thing, and you could have done anything, you could have gone anywhere. It doesn't matter. You would have ended up back at that place with the opportunity, or in the moment of experiencing whatever it is you were meant to experience. So the free will is in between these different points in your journey, in your life, and you can do whatever you want, but regardless, your life will be brought back to these points that you're supposed to go through and experience. So, it's like we think about, okay, there's these different holidays coming up, right? You've got Easter, you've got Christmas, and it's okay, every year, no matter what, we will experience Easter and Christmas. What you do in between doesn't affect it at all. You will experience these holidays. And I think maybe that's a good analogy, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, what I'm getting at is these things are unfolding in our lives and we're meant to undergo them. However, there is a level of free will where we can choose certain things, but at the end of the day, I do believe that what we're meant to experience, what we're supposed to go through in our human incarnation, will come to pass. And I might be wrong, who knows? But that's what I feel intuitively, and I'm not the only one that has said this. So other seekers, sages, mystics, saints, maybe, have said this. And I think there's something to it. And the other thing that happens when you start to understand this, or when you start to resonate with this maybe, is there is less pressure on your end to try to make things happen. And to think that, okay, it's all up to you, there's nothing but free will, and if you don't make the right choices, then you'll never experience your destiny. I don't think it works that way. I don't think the determining factor that determines whether or not you experience your destiny is up to your free will or independent choosing. That never really sat well with me. I think there's a higher power, a higher self, a source, a flow, the Tao, whatever you want to call it, that is moving and swaying things through our lives, and there is this inner guidance whether we're aware of it or not, and sometimes we tap into it, sometimes we are totally unaware of it. But the human experience is designed in a way for us to evolve, for our souls to evolve, and that happens through these different markers in the journey, these different things that the higher self has chosen to undergo and experience. And that's why too, and I've talked about this in a previous video, where, I believe in prayer, but it's not in the sense of, trying to beg and ask some distant deity to do things for us. I don't view prayer that way. I view prayer in the sense of you are one with God, the power is within you. And when you start to embody the frequency of love and peace and joy and authenticity and enlightenment, you are vibrating at a high frequency, and you're sending vibrational signals into the quantum field, and you can literally transform the world around you by the power within you, by understanding that there is immense power and divine glory that can radiate from your being when there's that heart-brain coherence thing going on, and you're walking in that higher vibrational frequency. And that's how we can, so that's my understanding of prayer. That's how I pray, if you even want to call it that. And it's this combination actually of prayer and meditation. And it's all coming from oneness. There is no separation consciousness involved in this type of praying, like I said. But even with that, one thing I've learned is you can notice how real that is. You can notice how manifestation, law of assumption, all of this actually works. However, there are certain things, again, that are meant to happen, and you can do all the praying, you can do all the manifesting, all the techniques and methods that you want. You will not change or alter that situation if it's meant to unfold a certain way. You won't. So does that mean we just sit back and become passive and don't do anything and don't try to manifest and don't try to pray and don't try to, change these certain situations in our external world? No. And that's why I say you live like there is free will. You live like, because that's the truth. You don't really know. You don't know what's meant to happen, what's destined to happen, and what's not, unless you have some crazy intuitive or prophetic insight. So live like that. Live like you don't know. And yeah, I think that's a wiser way to go about it. Instead of resorting to this passive state of being and just saying, yeah, whatever is meant to be will be. No, because you don't know. You really don't know. And that's part of being human. That's part of fully embracing the human experience, is living that way. So as long as you're in this matrix, as long as you're in this 3D earth realm, being human is actually how you embrace and experience this game, this curriculum at the fullest, at the highest level. Because as soon as you start getting super spiritual, then you miss out on being human to a degree. And there's an imbalance, and that's not what this matrix, this realm is about. It's about balance, it's about harmony, it's about integration, it's about wholeness. It's about understanding that this is a temporary human experience, yes, and you are an eternal spiritual being, but you incarnated to be human. So be human. And in being fully human, you'll realize that that is actually the most spiritual thing you can do while you're having this experience. Yeah, so free will. Do we have it? Maybe. I really don't know. Seems like it at some times, but it also seems like no matter how much we exercise our free will in prayer, in manifestation, in law of attraction or law of assumption techniques, yeah, there's some things that we're not moving. And what do we do when this happens? Well, we accept, we embrace, which doesn't mean you be passive necessarily. It just means you understand that, no, this is something that my higher self has chosen, has destined to happen, has destined for me to undergo or experience, and I'm going to embrace this full on. And I know that this is going to cause me to evolve and transform in a way that I can't even imagine right now in my finite egoic, dualistic mind, and I just have to trust that. See, this is where trust comes in. When you start to trust the universe, when you start to trust the flow, the rhythm, the Tao of life, all of a sudden, there's grace in the suffering. There's grace in the confusion. There's grace in the uncertainty, and you start to fall in love with mystery. And this is something that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, but what you'll notice in this human incarnation, in this human experience, is the finite mind. The finite egoic mind wants to have everything figured out. It wants certitude. It wants to have all the answers. And it thinks that in that there is security and strength and control. And that's one of the major lessons of this Earth School, is transcending that, because that is so illusory. It's just not, it's not real. That's why there's so much mystery. That's why there's so many things that happen and we're like, what the hell? Why did this happen? And there's no explanation. Because part of this curriculum is learning how to accept and trust and embrace the dance of mystery. And yeah, this is challenging. This is tough to navigate, especially if you're still living predominantly from the ego, which thrives on control. So I get it. And I'm not saying that this is something that just happens overnight, where you go from being a super dogmatic person that is in love with certitude, and then you just become a mystic and fall in love with mystery and the flow of life and trusting the universe. I'm not that this takes time, and there's grace in the journey. There's understanding and compassion for each soul that is navigating the different elements and aspects of this very complex, unpredictable human experience. But it's all grist for the mill, and that's something that is very enlightening when you understand it. When you understand that everything you're experiencing can be used for your soul's evolution as far as learning and seeing how everything is your teacher, then it changes your perspective on why you're here and what the whole point is in all of this. Although there's not really a point. That's something that, again, the mind, the ego likes to cling to. What does this actually mean? What's the point in this or that? But the thing about this construct is that nothing has inherent meaning to it, only the meaning that we give it. Everything is neutral. Everything is fundamentally neutral, okay? So that's something else to consider and understand when you're taking this Earth School curriculum. And when you see that, you start to transcend judgment, because you realize that it's your judgment that has been creating the most amount of unnecessary suffering in your life. So by transcending judgment, you step into unconditional love and acceptance, which is going back to what I was saying earlier. Being okay with uncertainty, being okay with the unknown, being okay with mystery. And you fall in love with this life. You fall in love with this human experience. You honor your incarnation. And that love, that unconditional love, non-judgment, is actually the bridge that brings you into the ultimate reality of oneness. It dissolves the illusion of separation. And that's when awakening really starts to unfold in a very profound way. So that's the key. That's the bridge. It's unconditional love and acceptance. Simultaneously, that's what just starts to happen. And now your mind is not so fixated on judging every little thing and labeling and categorizing and saying, oh, this is this and this is that. And, that this is where a lot of the division comes in. Us versus them mentality, because that's the egoic mind trying to judge and trying to say, okay, I need, you to be this, and oh, you believe that, so I'm going to categorize you based upon your beliefs. And that's why, people love to go around, especially in religion. They like to say, well, what are you? And what they mean by that is, what do you believe? What religion are you? What denomination are you? What is your belief structure? What is your theology? I experienced that a lot when I started to leave my religion and all of my indoctrination. And people were asking me, well, okay, you're not this anymore, so what do you believe? Or, what are you? That's what they would say. Well, what are you now? And I'd say, I don't know. I have no idea what I am. Because I don't believe you can define or confine an individual based upon their beliefs. How does that work? Beliefs are so just all over the place, and they change. I know for me, my beliefs change all the time, but I don't change. My essence, my I am presence, who I really am beyond my body, beyond my mind, beyond my thoughts, beyond the ego, it's unchanging. But my mind changes, my thoughts change, my beliefs change, sure, but I don't change. So I have beliefs, but I am not my beliefs. I have opinions, but I am not my opinions. I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. And this is where it gets really liberating, because when you allow yourself, when you free yourself to have things, but you know that you're not the things that you have, in that moment you're free, you're liberated, because it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with having beliefs or opinions or views. I view it this way. Well, I view it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. But where the suffering comes in is when you attach yourself to your beliefs, to your opinions, to your views. Because now, if anyone challenges those beliefs, or those views, or those opinions, you, the ego, feels challenged. And that's where we get all of this, no, you're wrong, I'm right, I've got the truth. And yeah, So That's what it is. Unconditional love, non-judgment, wakes you up to the reality of non-duality, where you see everything as one, there is no separation, and life becomes beautiful, life becomes extravagant and extraordinary, and the simplest, mundane things become divine. You know, like this leaf right here just becomes amazing. And I just called it a leaf, but that's my mind giving it a label. But if I just view it, if I take a break from language, let's say that, like let's say there's no language, and there's just awareness, there's just observation, that's where the true appreciation and reverence for the sacredness of life comes in. And it's just, yeah, it automatically grounds you in presence. So you're not caught up in all the things that the mind likes to, you know, be attached to with the past and the future and all that stuff. No, you're present. And I like what Jesus says in the Gospel of Thomas, saying 5. He says, know what's right in front of your face. That's present moment awareness, unconditional love, non-judgment. And how in the world did I start talking about this from the destiny free will conversation? I don't know, but somehow it's got to connect. So I need to connect this as I wrap this video up. How am I going to do this? Okay, so so let's say it like this. We have things that are meant to be, things that are meant to happen in our lives. There's no getting around those things. Is there free will? We don't know. Maybe there is. We're going to act like there is free will. We're going to treat life like, okay, there is, you know, we're choosing things. But we're not going to be attached to the choosing. We're not going to be attached to the free will. That's going to decrease a lot of the suffering in our lives. Just that simple detachment from being the one choosing, being the doer. And we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to trust that these certain things are happening for our soul's evolutionary journey of transcending and including, as Ken Wilber says. And then we're going to see that, okay, so this is where it all comes together. Why did the higher self choose these things for us to experience in the human incarnation? What's the meaning? Because remember, that's what, this is it. It's all coming together. The Oracle tells Neo, okay, you didn't come here to choose. You came here to figure out why you chose what you chose. Because it's all a curriculum. It's all a school. And every time you go through anything in life, anything that the higher self has chosen for you to experience, I feel like the main theme of this crazy Earth School, no matter what kind of lesson there is to be learned, I think it can somehow, some way, always come back to transcending judgment and embracing unconditional love, so that we fall in love with our human experience. I think love is the answer. I think love is the point. I think love is the way. And so people are talking about, oh, this world, this construct is a matrix, and we have to escape the matrix by being super spiritual. No. I don't think that. I don't think that's how it is. I don't think it's about escaping this matrix. I think it's about transcending the matrix, which that's a big difference there. How do we transcend this matrix? How do we transcend this Earth School? How do we graduate? That's a good way of saying it. How do we graduate? Same thing as transcending it. How do we graduate this Earth School? What's the lesson? What's the curriculum to be learned in all these different things that we have chosen to experience? It's love. Yeah, it's love. Falling in love with everything. Starting with yourself, starting with even your own ego. How about that? Can you love your ego? Can you love all the different constructs of who you think you are? Love is the answer. It's the key to integration. It's the key to wholeness. And it's how we graduate. It's how we transcend and evolve ultimately. And when you fall in love with life, you will see that the kingdom of heaven truly is right here, right now. It's right in front of your face, as Jesus says. How about that? Right in front of your face. It's in the present moment. And we access it through the heart space, through trust, through surrender, through letting go. Yeah. So I think that's it for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what I said in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will take the time to answer as many comments as I can, because your thoughts and questions matter to me, and I love the interaction. So yeah, leave all of that in the comment section below, and that's it. I'll see you next time.